Hello. Welcome to the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And by the way, you can get the Arizona Cardinals to make the playoffs in 2022 at plus 125 on DraftKings. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Bo Brock, and his pup dog in the background. And then the pride of Northwestern, Mr. Damien Anderson, former Arizona Cardinal running back. Gentlemen, Football Friday, we got some more scheduling fun to talk about today. How we living?
Guys, I'm excited. It's Friday. I get an opportunity to chat it up with you guys before the weekend and just to revisit. And I just want to take a step back, Johnny, and, I made some notes from yesterday because I always have to make notes.
Oh.
But I just want to apologize because I respect all running backs.
Thank you so much.
And when you dated yourself, I just had to take a step back. And you said that you were in high school. And you were watching, like, that brought a tear to my eye, bro.
Oh,
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you, my man.
Respect, right?
I'm 5'6", right? But shifty.
Maybe.
Come on now. Now you're undoing all the goodwill you just did, my man. Bo, back me up. So Bo's basically a collegiate, superstar, baseball pitcher. Can I just have my small town Illinois stardom of playing high school football? We made it to the state championship. We lost valiantly. Come on now, give me some credit.
Respect.
I want to hear the scouting report though. I mean, you were about to get into it. What was the scouting
report?
Was
the 50. I'm thinking who's the running back for Patriots back in the day?
It was Danny Barry Dan on, and they won it. So that made it all the more worthwhile. So that's the last time I played competitive football. I played a little bit of intramurals in college, but no, I appreciate it, Damien. I used to watch you at Northwestern, being an Illinois boy myself. So I have your back now. I need you to have mine here on PHNX Cardinals. Okay.
I got you. A lifer, Johnny. Got your back, bud.
Excellent. All right. So speaking of lifers, Kyler Murray, we all feel like it's going to become a lifer for the Arizona Cardinals later this summer. He's going to sign his fat contract. That hasn't happened yet, but if you look at the Cardinals' schedule this fall, it probably should happen sooner rather than later. We revealed it yesterday. Here it is, 2022 Arizona Cardinals schedule. It is a gauntlet, gentlemen, and I put in a tasty little article, gophnx.com today, Mr. Bo Brock, about Kyler Murray needs to be the best version of Kyler Murray we've ever seen if we want to survive this, because I can tell you right now, 3 games of Colt McCoy in this schedule, with all due respect to the former Longhorn, is not getting it done.
No, it isn't. I loved your article on gophnx.com. It was fantastic. I encourage everybody to sign up if they haven't already. Check it out. If they have, there you go. Easy access to it. Get yourself some gear from the PHNX Locker as well while you're at it. But you're exactly right. And that's what Damien was saying yesterday. That's what kind of the consensus on the show was. We look at this gauntlet of a schedule, and there's the Cardinals have that ace up their sleeve every week, but we didn't see it flex. We didn't see it played down the stretch of last season when Kyler Murray got back from the ankle injury, but he's going to be fresh to go. And the Arizona Cardinals are always going to have that ability to compete with anybody if they got a superstar caliber player in Kyler Murray. And it starts week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'd mentioned, how good Patrick Mahomes was week 1, how he just comes ready to play, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's 4-0. But there's a difference, and Damien pointed out, there's no cheetah. This is a very different looking Chiefs team right out of the gates where I think the Arizona Cardinals took advantage of a Tennessee team out of the gates last year, a lot of new pieces on that offense, new coordinators, and they were able to kind of blow their doors off with the continuity of the coaching staff, Kyler Murray knowing the playbook inside and out, and they'll be at home, and they're going to be dogs, and they're going to hear all the rest of the offseason how they're going to get an L week 1 to Mahomes and crew. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to have bulletin board material all training camp and preseason, and it's going to be interesting to see how things look as soon as they line up for real in September.
Bo, I absolutely agree. And as I said yesterday, this is about prime time and storylines, right? You got Kliff, or Darren Urban of AZ Cardinals talking about Patrick Mahomes reached out to Kliff and saying like, hey, like the eyeball emoji, like, hey, I can't wait for this game 1, Johnny. And that's what what it's about, those relationships. And Kyler Murray, Bo, to your point, Johnny, I think everyone's consensus has to be elite. He has to be special. He has to be Barry Sanders with John Elway's arm. And I don't think that there's a question that he can be that. It only comes down to him, him remaining healthy. I'm glad that it's first game of the year. I think that we've seen with the Cardinals, it's been war of attrition, start to wear down towards the latter part of the year. But if they can remain healthy throughout this season, Johnny, I like, as I said yesterday, I like the over of 9. I mean, I think that it doesn't matter who they play, where they go. The Arizona Cardinals can play football, and it doesn't matter who they see. If they play elite, they can win those football games.
Speaking of elite, we have our own Frank Sanders joining us
right.
from either the golf club or a prison cell. Frank, how are you, sir? Oh, no.
See what had happened was the best I got. See what had happened was.
Hey,
it's crazy.
Keeping it authentic, man. Keeping it authentic. Love it.
Hey, keep it 100, bro. This is my work release program for what the Cardinals will feel like this year if they don't do well with the schedule that they got going on. I think that schedule is pretty freaking hellacious that these guys are going to feel like they're in a jail cell with the NFL set these guys up for failure.
Well, as Frank has some sweet, sweet background music going here on PHNX Cardinals, here's my rationale for all of this is that I do feel like they will be under the radar during the beginning portion of this season. And that's exactly where this team wants to be, because when expectations start to roll in, good hell, we saw it in the second half. They fell apart. Now, think of that what you want. They've always played better as underdogs. Kyler Murray is undefeated. He's got 2 wins and a tie in opening weekends in the NFL as a starter. He's never lost opening Sunday. So I think that bodes well to get off to a fast start against Kansas City, even with Mahomes and company coming to the Valley. So at the end of the day, it's imperative for this team to get off to a good start. I think they will. Now, whether that will translate in the second half, Bo Brock, I do think they'll be competitive enough to be in the hunt. Can they close? I think we're going to get a clearly defined answer with Kliff this year. Can Kliff close the season for better or worse? But I don't think they're going to be out of it by November, early December.
No, there's gonna be a lot of questions that they have to answer along the way, and we looked at that week 4 to week 9 stretch where they can certainly stack wins if things kind of play out a little bit closer to 2021, and they never do. Like, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, from year to year, things change up so much in the NFL. Guys' production falls off a cliff. Teams that were playoff teams the previous year are a disaster. Teams we thought were going to be in contention are out of contention early on. I mean, look at Miami last year. What'd they start, like 1-7? And we thought they were going to be a lot better. And
the Niners?
The Niners were a team that was 3-5 before kind of really turning things around. So, you can try to forecast this, but most likely you're going to be a bad weatherman at this time of year to try to start forecasting wins and losses. And, it really is. I mean, just really get back to the Kyler Murray conversation. Like, he has to make that jump, like, to justify this contract. Like, I know he's been very good, but like the guys that have been getting these caliber of contracts, like Josh Allen showed in that playoff game against the Cardinals week 1 opponent, the Kansas City Chiefs, that he deserves every dime of it, that he's a franchise caliber quarterback, that he's an elite quarterback playing these days. And that's what this contract, this future dollars and cents that Kyler Murray is going to get. That's what they're going to pay him for, that type of production. Now he's going to have to prove that this season, Damien.
Bo, I would say with that argument, 80% yes, 20% no, right? Because if you look at guys like Derek Carr, or you look at the quarterback in Minnesota, who has yet to have that defining moment in which I think that you're talking about, Bo, and you look at the Patrick Mahomes, you look at the Russell Wilsons, you looked at all these quarterbacks that we deem in term elite, right? They've put the team on their back. I mean, Stafford in the Super Bowl, Stafford was always seen as a quality quarterback, right? But it wasn't until that moment where there was no questions asked. He had to go out there and be elite and make the throws when he had to make the throws and put the team on his back, as a metaphor, right? And you see, that's what we need from Kyler Murray. We need him to separate himself and be elite and take care of his body and be healthy towards the fourth quarter of the season and step in and have those moments, because I think that he's already traveled to Dallas, traveled to, divisional foes, won those games, traveled to Cleveland, won those games. He's shown that he could go on the road and beat formidable foes. I think what we've seen this offense progress as well. What we haven't seen is this team remain healthy. And that's a little bit of luck. That's the unknown, right? I think that we all know that the offense is basketball on a football field. It can score at will, but it's given this team being healthy. Major concern, I wouldn't say concern, but something that I'm thinking about, Johnny, is just D-Hop not being there. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because it was such a void last year. And I know Christian Kirk or, Hollywood comes in and fills that and he's an upgrade, but that's the only question I per se have. And that's why, a rookie like McBride is going to have to step up in a major way. I see, with the void of not having D-Hop.
Well, I can tell you, your concerns, I think, are echoed by the fan base, Damien. And while I am concerned about the time Hopkins is going to miss, I do think that in a weird way, he will be set up for success on multiple fronts later in the year. He's an older player. He's going to want to show the Cardinals, pay me $30 million next year. I can still ball out. This is when the team tends to fall off. Like, that might be a blessing in disguise. Here's what I'm going to say. I am not ready to have a built-in excuse this team not be competitive offensively in the first 6 games because of no D-Hop. You trade a one for they traded a first-round pick, albeit in the 20s, for a receiver. That receiver should be able to step in, especially if you have a rapport. Your best friends, as we saw last night, downtown Dallas against the Mavericks and Suns last night in games. Like, that's your best friend, somebody who you championed to come play with you. Like, that should be enough with somebody like Zach Ertz, with somebody like Rondell Moore in year 2. AJ Green, who second year in the offense, over 800 yards. Damien, you just mentioned second round tight end, a Pro Bowl running back. Like, you ought to be able to score 30 plus points a game in this schedule that has a bunch of teams
Johnny.
with middling defenses. Like, tell me, look at those first 6 games. Tell me the elite defense outside of the LA Rams, who, by the way, lost some pieces, could have a Super Bowl hangover. I'm looking at that defense and I'm thinking to myself, the Raiders, the Eagles, the horrific top 5 picking Seahawks, Kansas City with no Tyrann Mathieu. I am not going to sit here. I don't want to sit here in September and October and hear from people saying, well, they're not scoring because they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. When your quarterback's making $40+ million and they have rightfully, I put this in the article, go PHNX.com, they have made such a great decision this offseason. What have they done? They prioritized the offense. They've re-solidified a couple pieces defensively, but this has been an offseason on the offensive. And I will give Keim infinite credit for that. They signed a starting right guard. They re-upped their tight end, re-upped their running back, traded a first for Hollywood Brown, brought back a second, the best tight end in the draft. He plays for the Arizona Cardinals. Like, I'm not interested in excuse making, Bo, for the offense early on. Like, it's up to 2 people, Kyler and Kliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, and the guy that was sitting next to Kyler at the Suns lost last night, and that was Hollywood Brown. And that's cool to see that they've got that off-the-field relationship, because I think it's going to translate back onto the field like it did in Oklahoma, to kind of more of what Kliff Kingsbury said as far as handling the D-Hop suspension. And there was via Darren Urban today as he was talking to Kliff after the rookie minicamp. The addition of Marquise Brown will help, quote, he just has to play better as an offense as far as the Cardinals as a whole. It's unfortunate that D-Hop won't be available, and he's excited to get him back. It's a real shot in the arm. They also asked, did they know about the suspension? And all Kliff would say is Steve Keim's really good at his job. I don't know. That tells you that. As far as going out and getting Marquise Brown, man, it's it's going to help. It's a better offense than they finished with last year, but Kliff knows what the score is right now. He knows what the end of his season score is as far as his overall record, and he knows that he has to perform at that time of year. But, the way that they finished, he has to look at the schedule and say, hey, we're out the first 6 games without DeAndre Hopkins, but the fan base, nobody's going to accept us coming out of the gates flat.
No,
it's not, because it was just a brutal finish to the last 2 seasons. So, yeah, we'll see what they have up their sleeve. And, I agree with you as far as the defenses that they're facing. There's no steel curtain in here.
You don't want to face Bill Belichick without DeAndre Hopkins. You made that point yesterday, Bo, about they're facing Bill Belichick with a full deck, no pun intended, late in the year.
Well, we'll see. It's late in the year, and a lot can change between now and then. But, I think that they have on offense, they don't have any excuse, even without their star wide receiver, because now they have a wide receiver too. Now they have a mismatch opportunity with Zach Ertz and Trey McBride at the tight end position, and they have James Conner, who's just money in the bank around the goal line. They're paying him to be an every down back, and he's going to have to be that. I mean, obviously they're going to want to watch his snap count, but they've got the options on offense now after a very slow offseason. I'm pretty confident that they should have to score points. And when you look at Kansas City right out of the gates, I mean, they weren't that great on defense last year, and they lose Matthew, as you said. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, what's going to go on with, like, Patrick Mahomes looked mortal, especially in the Bengals game where he throws that pick to put the Bengals in position to win this in advance and go to the Super Bowl. We saw Patrick Mahomes. They came out of the gates slow. They were under 500 at one point, and then they rallied and they were 12-5 before you know it. But this is Mahomes is finally facing adversity in his career. He no longer has cheetah. He doesn't have like the perfect situation any longer because he's taken all that money. We'll see. I mean, this entire schedule, there's some interesting things that could, just like last year, it could break the Cardinals' way. Not to drink the Kool-Aid too much.
Well, everybody picked the Titans to smack around the Cardinals in week 1 last year. And what happened? The opposite happened. We're going to have plenty of time to preview that Kansas City game. But there's one matchup that I'm very much looking forward to is Mr. Isaiah Simmons versus Travis Kelce, because that's in a lot of ways why you drafted Isaiah Simmons, right? And so I do think, Bo, to your point, the Cardinals are uniquely positioned to give the Chiefs all they can handle in week 1, Damien.
Yeah, no question. The game is all about matchups, Johnny. I mean, from high school, collegiate level to professional level, it's about finding guys who could minimize their threats that they have offensively or defensively, right? And I think Speedo Jackson, aka Frank Sanders, had in the chat a little bit earlier. He said, we got the weapons. It's up to Kliff to maximize their potential. And I absolutely agree. And to piggyback on what Bo said a little bit earlier, there's no excuse offensively this year. The Cardinals have all the weapons to do what they're capable of doing. It's year 3. Everyone's matured, right? Kliff knows the offense, what to expect, scenarios, whatever, his relationship with Kyler. And you should just you got your best friend now, a guy that you just could throw to running a fade, a cross, or a dig route with your eyes closed. So for Kyler, which I believe in him, and I think as a fan, right? I'm just a fan of elite players, right? And I think that Kyler is elite, and he has to play that way every game. And I think the question was it D Hop last year, or was it the injury, or was it the combination of the two? Because that's what's concerning to me. And Kyler has to go out there, play elite level, command the offense, and that demand that 40+ million something that he's wanting, Johnny, and go out there and play like it, and not just for that 9-game stretch. When you play the Bucks, when you play the Patriots, when you go, you have to play San Fran again. All those tough teams that he has to see, he has to be elite level throughout the year. Because at this point, it's no excuses. You got everything that you need.
Yeah, he looks elite, as he does here, from Mr. Damien Anderson. He coined this.
Yes, sir.
Patrick Mahomes, Chandler Jones, Macaulay Culkin, and Home Alone don't matter. Cards going to the playoffs. Damien, how did this come to you yesterday?
I mean, I was just thinking about, the mindset that that Kyler has to have, going into this season. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we play, just trying to be, funny in today's world. And everyone remembers LeBron James, meme of, whatever it's going to be, whoever I play, Cavs and 6 or whatever it was. But I just think that Kyler has to have those type of moments. Like, it doesn't matter. Like LeBron James versus, the who was it, Bo, at that time? Where they beat the
Warriors.
Steph Curry, yeah. And they
Matthew Dellavedova.
It just appeared as though that it was like an unsurmountable feat, right?
Yeah.
But they did it, and they came back down 3 or whatever, and won that series. So Kyler needs to have those type of defining moments to take that next step. And do I think that he's capable? Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. But it's going to take a little bit of luck, Bo. It's going to take luck.
What's the cliche? To be the best, you got to beat the best. I mean, it's just, if the Cardinals, if they want to be the team that they envision them being, that when they created this idea of Kliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray being the quarterback, and that they're going to take them to where they wanted to go since they've been a franchise, this is where you have to kind of start. And it doesn't matter. You can't control this. That when you go out there each and every week, you can control, how hard you play, whether or not you're prepared. And in Kliff Kingsbury's case, whether or not his game plan is going to stack up against the opposing play callers out there. But when it's Kyler Murray, he can control what he can control. He has nothing as far as the schedule goes. He's just going to go out there and ball out. And I'm looking for, when he meets Patrick Mahomes, when he meets, his predecessor at Oklahoma and Jalen Hurts, and like that, he's going to be on any given Sunday the best quarterback on the field, and that includes a guy who's an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP, Week 1. It's going to be. I mean, I can't wait for the lights to come on and that game to actually go down. But I love it. I love it. Kyler Murray absolutely has the kind of like don't give an F mentality about who the other team is or how the schedule just was unveiled on Thursday.
Well, I'm sure he's loving these primetime games that Arizona Cardinals rightfully earned, in part because of Kyler Murray, 4, which marks their most, I believe, since the Bruce Arians peak years in 2015, 2016. Couple comments I want to get to. Jalen Blair in the chat. Do the Cardinals have the offensive line to do what they want to do? I think on paper they do. They've got a left tackle who I think has the biggest cap hit of anybody on the team this year. They've got an all-pro center who should hopefully be healthy and not be affected by COVID this year. A right tackle that on any given Sunday in Kelvin Beachum could be their highest graded offensive lineman. You got some question marks at the guard positions, but I believe in Justin Pugh. He's healthy. He's a very quality player. And then we'll see what happens with Will Hernandez. That's a position I think we all could agree could still use some added depth, some added competition. Another question I want to get to, Jose in the chat, something we really haven't talked about, kind of glossed over this yesterday, gentlemen. What does Kingsley Keke bring to the Cardinals? Is there a reason Green Bay was so willing to part ways with him? Well, he's a scheduled free agent. He plays that defensive end in the 3-4 system. He is a rotational defensive lineman that probably wanted too much money. Maybe he wanted out of Green Bay. I look at it very much in the same realm of once upon a time, like a Sean Morrow or one of those guys that you bring in for depth, but he is of quality. He played, I think, in 16 games last year, started maybe half the season, 3.5 or 3 sacks or something like that. Not going to be a starter for you, but somebody who can spell something. I think the biggest thing is, Jose, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, like they needed some added depth behind Watt and Zach Allen that was not a baby, was not these younger guys.
It was simply depth. I mean, as you mentioned, Johnny, all the points that you hit on, a guy like that you need as a rotational guy, a guy to just show the young guys what it takes to be a pro, and that has done his job, and that's going to come in and can be a line item that they cross off. Like, okay, we got a guy that with a high motor, won't make mistakes, and a guy that we can count on, and that's what we need the defense to do. And I think that's the approach that they've taken this entire offseason. They've taken in the draft is offense first, and hey, we're going to score 30 plus more points, and we just need our defense to be, I would say, allow 28, and we got a shot, to win every game. Mm-hmm. And that's the approach that they're taking.
And it is if they're opportunistic as well. I mean, I'd like to see them be more opportunistic, try to force some turnovers, get the ball back in this offense's hands, because that's really kind of where they made their money in the first half of the really good stretch to open the season last year, was winning that takeover, the turnover battle, and building leads. Because there were a lot of games last year, Johnny and Damien, were like they'd come out in the third quarter and just put the game away. It was over. I mean, It wasn't like they didn't have to salt the clock away. Like the game was just over. And I mean, that's the game plan. I still don't know who Kliff Kingsbury is in close contest, because it's been either a one loss or it really is.
Yeah, I go back to, I was at the Chicago game last year. It's a perfect example. You look at the score, it's lopsided, right? But I mean, the Bears were moving the football in that game, but it took Andy Dalton throwing 4 or 5 interceptions that day, and it became a lopsided affair. Like, the Cardinals are a bend and don't break defense. And I think even more so this year, where you talk about, and I put this in my article, like the Cardinals can get by with a top offense and a middling defense that's in transition. They got 2 third-round edge rushers they got to implement right. They got some uncertainty on their defensive line. They got 2 inside backers that are basically going to be starting for the first time together. I think we need to preach a little patience with the defense, which again puts all the ownership on Kyler Murray. Vance Joseph, he has his flaws. I think he's a good, solid defensive coordinator, but we got a lot of new faces to talk about. And speaking of new faces, the NBA playoff action features several, and we are back in action tonight at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the NBA playoffs? Well, with DraftKings same-game parlays, You can do just that. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, total threes made, total rebounds, more, and boom, you have a shot at an even bigger payout. Right now, all customers can place the same game parlay with up to 3 or more legs and get a free bet back if up to $25 if one of those legs does not hit. It's a call to action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code PHNX. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game. Get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code PHNX. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, 21 and over. Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customer only. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gentlemen, my DraftKings pick of the week, as much as it pains me to say this, after whatever the hell we watched last night with the Phoenix Suns, I think the Golden State Warriors are going to win handedly tonight. You can take them and the points, or you can go safe like I am. DraftKings pick of the week, Warriors money line at home as they close out the Memphis Grizzlies, Bo.
A little concern there. I thought you might be going Game 7 with some grim news, but I'm
I don't have
glad
the
you
balls
didn't.
to do that right now. I can't do it.
I will say, like, I see Devin Booker and I see Luka Doncic, and very chippy right now on the court between those two. Like, who is going to be Kyler Murray's equivalent of Luka Doncic? Is it shaping up to be Trey Lance, or you guys got any ideas on who that could be?
That's a great question. I think divisionally it's easy to go Trey Lance, but Luka is like elite and legendary. I don't see Trey Lance.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that the player does well, right? Just not against the Cardinals. It's one of those things. But I'm yet to see a player or a quarterback with that skill set in the division besides, Matthew Stafford. I think it's, but Stafford would be like a LeBron, I would say. But like, obviously he's got a championship. Luka's that young threat that is bigger, faster. I wouldn't say faster, but he's just more skilled. Like Luka has every tool in his toolbox, and you got to bring your A game. You got to be on point. And that's what I'd say the schedule is to the Arizona Cardinals. The schedule is Luka Doncic that they have to face every week. And the Cardinals have to be, Devin Booker, Chris Paul at their absolute best.
Jalen Blair in the chat echoes my sentiments. There's no young QB in the NFC that can rival K1 right now. It's a good place to be at. I think we are another offseason plus away. I'm hoping, like everybody else, that Trey Lance is a huge mega bust because I want Justin Fields to do well. I don't think he's going to with that Chicago Bear organization, the lack of talent around him. You look at, there's a bunch of aging veterans, the Kirk Cousins, obviously the Aaron Rodgers of the world. There's so much uncertainty in the NFC South, especially once Brady retires. Like we talked about it before the season, like K1 is the best young quarterback in the NFC. AFC is a different story, right? So to answer that, I think we need probably another offseason, another draft class to come in.
Yeah. No, I would agree, Johnny. I would say the only one, Bo, and it's not in the division, it's AFC, it's Allen up in Buffalo. Like that's the only, that think about it. He's bigger. He's, he could run through people. We see him just dragging people, getting first downs and he's hurting the defenders, right? And he could have every throw and be athletic. I mean, obviously he's not going to be Kyler, but he could be as athletic and, throwing moonball, right? And I'd say that would be his Luka rival equivalent. And I could see that happening, being on the schedule, soon. Those two young stars for sure.
NFL AZ Cardinals in the chat. Trey McBride, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Minicamp began today, as we were talking about a little bit what Kliff Kingsbury told the media today. But we got to see the Arizona Cardinals draft class and undrafted free agents take the field for the first time wearing their Cardinals garb. And, McBride had his introductory press conference, amped to be an Arizona Cardinal. Look at that class picture. Look at those guys. They're ready to play. What a menacing bunch. Did they flip the script a little bit? Why are the big guys down on one knee like Johnny would be in our team picture?
All right. I hope they're not sucking air down there. I see 8 Hall of Famers right here. I don't know about you guys.
There's Cameron Thomas in 97, Sanders in 54. You've got McBride in 85. Is 30 is Keontae Ingram?
Yep. Keontae Ingram, yep.
And this is a great group here.
We want to know
expectations here.
There's a couple of old ass
by the way.
guys. There's a couple old ass men in that photo. Like those guys look like some grown ass men that pay bills like for a living. They're gonna be some good ass football players, Johnny. That's what I'm saying.
I see 2 offensive linemen front and center, 54 and 78. That are flipping pissed as hell they fell to the 6th and 7th round and are ready to take somebody's life at the start of training camp. That's what I want to see. Trey McBride, big shit-eating grin on his face. I was the first tight end. I got second-round money, right? Everybody feels good. There are 2 big uglies up front, 2 big heavies that are going to be out for somebody's lunchbox because they're going to be pissed as hell. Nothing's guaranteed. They could be cut after training camp. So that's what I want to see right now. The 54 and 78 lay somebody's ass out.
And 30, obviously, Keontae, I got that relationship with him, so I'm excited. I mean, I know he's a great player, very athletic, can do it all, catch the ball out of the backfield, which I know is going to be huge for Kliff and Kyler in that offense, and even run between the tackles. I mean, the kid at one point in time, when I tell you he could do everything, he weighed 230 pounds, and to see him train before the combine and slim down to not even sure his weight, but obviously he was considerably below that amount. But he's going to be a nice little gem for Steve Keim and Kliff Kingsbury on that football team for sure, and can play special teams. So he's going to definitely have a fit on that team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When I look at McBride, I can't help myself by looking at like Dallas Goedert's rookie season. And it wasn't like overly impressive, but if you expect Zach Ertz to maybe approach 700, 800 yards, you could probably, if you get 350, 400 yards from Trey McBride and maybe a handful of touchdowns, 3 to 4 TDs, I think that's a successful pick for this Arizona Cardinals offense. It's not offensive rookie of the year by any stretch. I don't think he's going to get that many opportunities to do that, but he's going to make an impact on this offense. But those 2 pass rushers, man, Sanders, I believe he's 41 in this photo. Am I correct?
He is. And look at the length that he has. He is enormous. His arms are super long. There are a lot of people, gentlemen, that feel like this is going to be the biggest draft gem, not only for the Cardinals, but amongst anybody, because of the fact he was so dominant for Cincinnati, who I ripped on that program all year because I didn't want to see them in the Final Four. They played real teams. He dominated Notre Dame's front 5, who we know are blue chipper kind of prospects that play in the NFL. I think we could be looking back on this draft class, and number 41, if he keeps that number, could be the gem of this group.
He's going to be in a good spot. I mean, it's just the rotation that they're going to have. They're going to have the youth and the athleticism, and whoever's going to be opposite Marcus Golden on the playing the outside linebacker spot, they're going to get the reps, and they're going to be just pretty single-minded as far as what they need to do, and it's just go get opposing quarterbacks, hit their hands up, maybe bat down some passes. You got to like that. I mean, if it's Cameron Thomas and Sanders out of Cincinnati, filling that role, that's fine. If say Cameron Thomas gets 4 sacks and Sanders gets 3.5, 4 sacks, I mean, there's your almost 9.5 sacks.
That's a great season. Solid. Yeah. I mean, you talk about the competition, and that's one thing. I was watching a little bit, of Hey Rookie throughout the week, and I saw that they were just talking about the competition. I think it might have been the Tennessee Titans, but they were just talking about competition at positions and the coming in and having Thomas and Sanders there to compete against one another. Because one feels as though that they should have went higher, the other one feels as though that they should have went higher. So it's proving grounds throughout practice, Bo, throughout the games, Johnny, I'm going to do better than this guy. Not only Marcus Golden, but I'm going to do better than the draft pick. And I just remember it being, an exciting time going into camp, and just knowing that you got to go out there and, make this squad, and you see all the draft picks, making the team as an undrafted free agent, and just going out there and competing, and just knowing that we talk about the margin for error, being an undrafted free agent or even being a draft pick, you always want to put your best foot forward in that. I mean, I'm sure that, you get it in baseball. Like if you pitch, you're 1 inch off. I mean, dude's going yard, and it's the same thing. Like you want to maximize your opportunities and make the most of your opportunities every chance that you get on this football field, especially in front of these coaches.
As Jose asked the question about Ingram and a guy that you helped work out and get ready for this draft, what is he facing right now? Because Johnny had mentioned Steve Keim thought, here's our 4th running back. Was that on the flight plan?
It was. This guy's going to come in and be our 4th running back.
How do you maybe he hears that, maybe he doesn't, but what obstacles is he facing, as far as just making this roster and getting some significant snaps year 1?
I mean, it just goes down to opportunities, like showing the coaches that you're willing to go down and crack a head on kickoff, that you're willing to block someone on kickoff return, but also be really good at your job. I mean, that's really what it is, because you have James Conner, you have, some guys that they've gotten it on, via free agency, and they have, Eno's a very good football player. He's gotten better and better every time that you've seen him. But I think that Keontae really feels strong about his abilities to go in there and prove himself. He's been successful at every level, Texas, USC, and I know that he could compete and go in there and do well. He's just going to have to show up, be fearless on special teams, catch the ball out of the backfield, and play to a high level every day. I mean, it's running back, that transition, guys, isn't – you just got to run hard and don't make mistakes and show up on special teams. That's what Keontae needs to do to be at least on this team or on the practice squad.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. I mean, limited reps with either the first or second team offense. You got to make the most of those. You got to be ready. I think he will be. I find myself watching his highlights. I know people are critical maybe of his top end speed. I, again, will harp on the fact that this offense, to run at its best, most efficient level, needs big backs. And he fits that right alongside James Conner. With all due respect to who's not small, give me somebody who's 3 to 4 yards in a cloud of dust rather than somebody that, they may run a 4-3 or 4-4, but people stack the box against this offense because Kyler Murray. And I think the Cardinals finally figured it out last year. James Conner, big physical back, 20 touchdowns or 18 or whatever it was. I think Keontae is here to stay. Let me ask you guys this. So, of all of these draft picks this year, who do you think is going to have the biggest impact year one? There's no first round pick, right? We all hope by default that's Hollywood Brown. It needs to be if the Cardinals want to make the playoffs. But if you had to pick one player next year to make the biggest impact where we're going into year two in 2023, and you're like, hot damn, that guy not only is going to be a starter, but I think he is a cornerstone player. Bo, I'll start with you.
Let's go with Cameron Thomas out of San Diego State. I thought the value was tremendous. They get him at 87th overall. He was just a beast as far as getting to the quarterback and slowing down the run. Two things that the Arizona Cardinals desperately needed after deciding what to do with their top pick and trading it for Hollywood Brown. And then taking kind of the luxury pick with Trey McBride and trying to create mismatches as far as the tight ends go on the field with him and Zach Ertz. So I'm going to take Cameron Thomas. I think he's going to be a guy that he can do it all, even though I'm very excited about what Sanders can do out of Cincinnati, because I'm sure he's going to make some noise as well and flash. But I like Cameron Thomas. Just looking at it, what do you have? 12.5 sacks last season for the Aztecs, and was one of the main reasons that they were undefeated for so long. And for him to kind of be J.J. Watt's shadow this season and having an opportunity to learn from a guy that he's idolized, it's just kind of a perfect storm for him to come into this ideal situation and thrive from the very beginning.
I like it, Bo. I do like it. However, I'm going to, disagree, because I like McBride. Right. If you have a guy that can be George Kittle part 2, a guy that can block, a guy that's tough, a guy that can, as we talked about, create mismatches, catch the ball, run, individual option routes, be athletic with the football, caught over, I believe it was 1,200 yards, as a tight end, a guy that can stretch the football field and be another Zach Ertz. And that's one thing that we saw Quentin Harris talk about, that he can block too. You have a guy that does that and that's willing to do it. I think that guy is going to be special. And I don't necessarily see him being, that star at the beginning of the season, but I could think, as the war attrition, teams get beat up, we're going to see a lot more of, McBride on the football field towards the latter part of the year, because teams just won't be able to match up with his athleticism.
So I love both your picks. I will complete the trifecta here and say Myjai Sanders, just because keep it consistent. I want to say Trey McBride. The only thing that's preventing me, Damien, is I need to see this franchise develop a tight end. I've never seen it, so I'd be going against the grain. Now, I said the same thing about Kyler Murray once upon a time, and look, proved me wrong. So hopefully that falls in line. I have seen this team develop pass rushers. This kid's 6'5". He's got explosive tape. He's been a 3-year starter in the AAC. He's somebody that competed at the highest level in the Final Four. So, and Cincinnati has been an elite program since he's been there. So you want to say if that's a coincidence or not. He's been part of the best run in program history. So I think very comparable to all those guys once upon a time from Boise State that went on to compete for national championships, then go on and have very successful NFL careers. So you can't teach 6'5". He's explosive. I think both he and Cameron Thomas will have a role next year, which I'm excited about. I think every day that goes by, I do think they need to add a pass rusher. But I also think when we talked about this, like if they get a good look at these rookies over the course of the next week or so, and they think, and I'm Vance Joseph, I'm hands-on with these guys should be able to have a role next year. I think it's a good sign if they don't sign somebody immediately. Now, you could always have more depth. You don't know how guys are going to, work out when the pads come on. You got to go over the course of 18-game season, and a rookie wall is a real thing. But I'm gonna trust Vance Joseph with edge rushers more so than inside backers that have to play 100% of the snaps and call the defense. If you just get to pick your spots with these guys, I think they'll be in good shape, Bo.
Yeah, with Sanders in particular, like he might not have to play inside like Cameron Thomas. There might be an opportunity to play inside and outside, so he doesn't have to maybe drink from a fire hose, kind of like Zaven Collins did last year and Isaiah Simmons the previous season. He can just focus on one thing, and that's getting into the backfield of the opposing offense. Exciting to think about this rookie class. Not often has Steve Keim presented us with a rookie class where we're actually really thinking they can make an impact in that season. Also, things we're excited about are the fun events that are going on around us right now. We want to make sure everyone is safe and healthy. COVID-19 vaccines are free for everyone 5 and older. Those 12 and older also eligible for the booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find vaccine for a location near you. Also pumped to tell you about our new partner. I'm talking about OG's. OG's is the perfect thing if you're just hearing about it for the weekend. OG's, check them out. They're Arizona's first original scratch-made cannabis kitchen and is dedicated to creating an innovative and memorable cannabis-infused products that flavor life's journey. Quality of the products stem from the combination of accurate dosing and amazing flavor. Edibles, not a one-size-fits-all product, which is why OG's is proud to offer a wide range of products for all demographics and preferences. Their motto is flavoring life, and that's something we could all get behind. How about their tropical flavors? You've got guava, strawberry kiwi, raspberry orange, pina colada. You also have your orange creamsicle gummies, which are unbelievable. Learn more about OG's right now. Check out their website after the podcast, after the YouTube show. Go to ogsbrands.com. Go to OGEEZbrands.com to find OG's near you, Johnny.
OG's is a treat. And speaking of treats, I have a treat for you gentlemen here on a Friday. Check out this bad boy right here, circa 2005. This is my senior year high school football. I'll give anybody who can spot me $1 in this picture real quick in the comments. What number am I here in the comments? Number 53, maybe?
No, Johnny, we know what number. You already told us. We know what.
I blew it.
Is this real? Is this real?
This is very real. This is walking out for the state championship game. University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. We lost 14-9 to the state champion Morris, but then they won it next year. So
did you hear, Damien, that before the game, all the players on the team went into the coach's office and put their jerseys on his desk until they let Johnny suit up for this one?
God, Bo.
Damn,
you are
Johnny Rudy.
You are no longer my brother on the show.
He called him Rudy.
No, this is not a Rudy charity case. Damn it!
Johnny, I swear to God, send me this.
Johnny.
I'm getting this on a t-shirt.
I hate everybody on this show.
I want this on a t-shirt. I want this on a t-shirt.
Here, you want to see some bullshit? That's my father on the far right. My father's 6 foot. I'm 5'6". My little grandpa's, one of them, God rest his soul, and my other one, who's 93 this fall, both tiny men. So you get your height from your grandpas. Thankfully, my son, Hudson, who's named after his grandpa, will hopefully be much, much taller than I am. So there's some definitive proof of my collegiate high school playing days. Although, the
I want that on a shirt, though.
The video is a little too grainy here. Everybody says 35 in the chat. Ding, ding, ding. You are correct and right. You're also going to be right if you go to gophnx.com. Get a membership, become a member, hang out with us in the member Discord. Again, article right now, Kyler Murray needs to be the best version of Kyler Murray if the Cardinals are going to withstand and survive this rigorous 18 game schedule. You can get a membership for 50 cents for the first month. Good hell. $8.99 for the subsequent month, or your best bet, in my opinion, under $60, $59.98. Get a free t-shirt from our PHNX merchandise locker. You'll sign up for the year. So you just pay it once. You're good to go. You'll have so much fun because we're going to have the biggest, baddest season, PHNX Cardinals, not only this summer, but into the fall as we get ready for so much GD fun. And gentlemen, oh, by the way, Cardinals, Niners, Monday Night Football in Mexico City. We will get there, right, with the Burgain Travel Club. I got to get my passport renewed. That's the week of Thanksgiving. I may not make it back to carve the turkey. I may be carving some enchiladas in Mexico instead. May just spend the whole week there. Hopefully we get a W on Monday Night Football with the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX, and the Burgain Travel Club, gentlemen.
Excited. It's craziness. It's a good time. Up season. Johnny, we saw you as a high school football player. That's legendary. I'm serious when I say I want a shirt. Like nothing but respect.
I appreciate it. I've got my high school jersey still. What we should do is you should rock it at an event and see how tight it is on you. That's what we should do.
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. Fair enough. I mean,
give me one of your game jerseys. I can wear it as a nightie, and you can wear one of my jerseys from high school.
Done deal.
You're gonna look like Zeke. You're gonna look like Zeke Elliott with your abs showing. It's gonna be it's not gonna.
We're making it happen. We're making it happen.
We will. We're making it happen here on PHNX Cardinals Live. It's been such a fun week, gentlemen. We'll be back on Monday. We'll keep this party rocking and rolling. I want to make sure everybody likes, subscribes, leave us a 5-star review. Nobody else is churning out year-round content for the Arizona Cardinals except for this site, this show. Follow Bo Brock at Bo Brock on Twitter. He's Damien Anderson at Damien Anderson. I'm Johnny Venerable. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Peace.